This video is about fundamentals of organic chemistry. So the keyword in the question is butane. And the question tells us that it is an alkane. And we also need to write or draw butane in 4 different formulae. So the name butane, so from the word bu, it tells us that there are 4 carbons. And from the suffix ane, it tells us that it is an alkane, which is also mentioned in the question, but means that they are all single bonds. First, we have the empirical formula, and it is shown in the simplest ratio. So first, we write out what we know. So there are 4 carbons. So we start off with writing C4. And remember, for alkane, the general formula is CnH2n plus 2. So if we were to substitute 4 for n, we would find out that there are 10 H's. So to find the simplest ratio, we simply divide it by 2 and we would get C2H5, and that is our empirical formula for butane. Next is the molecular formula, and this is when the actual ratio is shown. So remember in the previous question, we already found the ratio, which is C4H10, before we divided and found the simplest ratio. So our molecular formula for butane is C4H10. Next is the structure formula, and this formula comes in 2 formats, the full or the condensed format. That is both required in the question. So as the name indicated, this formula will show the molecule structure. So first we have the full format, and so we need to write out the 4 carbons represented as a C, and they're all connected to each other. And remember, they're all single bonds, so the remaining carbon bonds, which there's 4, is bonded to a hydrogen represented by an H. So you simply fill in the H bonded to each of the carbon. And if you want to make sure, just count that there are 10 H's, and you would get out the full format. And for the condensed format, you actually write out, here's how you write it out. So you start from the left of the molecule, and there's 3H. So you write H3, and that is bonded to a carbon. So next you write C, and then that carbon is bonded to another carbon, so you write another C, and that carbon is bonded to 2 hydrogen, and so you write H2. And so you get the idea, and you keep going on through the rest of the molecule. So you get CH2, and then at the end is CH3. And so that's the condensed format for the structural formula for butane. Finally is the skeletal formula. And so if we draw a line, each of the ends represent a carbon. And so it's assumed that the carbon is then bonded to hydrogens. And so in this formula, you don't need to write out any of those things. So because there's 4 carbon, we simply need to draw out 3 lines, which has 4 ends or connecting ends. So like here, as it's shown here, to represent 4 carbon. And so the skeletal formula is that. Tables show the final answer for this question and the different format that you can represent butane.